the opportunities with solar, and then some other folks, Emily and James in particular, with the Clean Energy Funded here, USF, want to hear a little bit about what you guys are doing as well. So we'll just kind of go through that quickly and leave some time for the discussion.
Start with me? Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Tori Perfetti. I'm very honored to be here, and thank you everybody for being here. I wear a few hats. I'm the Florida Director of Conservatives for Energy Freedom, and I'm also the Chairman of Floridians for Solar Choice, and currently in the Executive Director or Chairman of Floridians for Lower Energy Costs, which is part of the team, along with Senator Brandis' team in Florida for Solar, that is running Amendment 4. And that's going to be up for a vote August 30th or earlier if you're early voting or sending in your absentee. That amendment is going to remove the property taxes on businesses and the tangible personal property tax on all individuals, covering all renewables to include solar. And it has been, I can tell you, a long fight, a fulfilling fight, an interesting fight to move us to where we have come today. For about now 2 years, maybe a little over that. It used to be very difficult as a Republican, as a conservative, to mention wanting a free market orientation when it came to all energy sources in the state of Florida. And today, as I stated, Senator Brandis was a main sponsor of Ray Rodriguez and Representative Berman on Amendment 4. It's become something that Republican legislators, as well as Democratic legislators, are pushing forward to have a lot more options for us as citizens. So it has been a good fight. It's been a long fight. It's a fight that's continuing. We do need everybody, of course, to continue to spread the word, but it's rewarding. And on my side of the aisle, which is the right side of the aisle, and I mean that as a conservative, not necessarily trying to impute only my side's correct, but we believe in free market policies that can advance different energy options for all citizens to have better control over their future. So if you can lower your cost of your home or your business, and you can do it without mandates or subsidies, it's a net benefit for everyone.
Jordan?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Darden Rice. I'm the Vice Chair of St. Pete City Council, and I'm the founder and chair of our city-based Energy, Natural Resources, and Sustainability Committee. And it's really unnatural, it's kind of a no-brainer that St. Pete would be a leader in this issue. We are known as the Sunshine City. And cities are increasingly the center of innovation. I mean, the buck really stops with us. We are in a coastal area. The Tampa Bay region is on the top 8 list worldwide of being in the crosshairs of the impacts of climate change, with strong storms and sea level rise. So it really makes sense for us to look strategically and work hard to support a clean energy plan for our state and to look at what we can do locally. So that's why I'm glad to be here personally in strong support of the Amendment 4. I think this is a great way to offer tax breaks to businesses that want to install solar panels. It's one more feather in our cap and one more thing that we can do to help attract and recruit businesses to this area. And we know it works. A couple of great examples that we have. Our Great Bay Distributors has a 1.5 megawatt solar array system. It's reduced their electricity costs by 40%. Cost them a little over $2 million to install it, but their payback is going to be in a little over 6 years. We've seen smaller installations as well. A Mesh Architecture has a 100 kilowatt installation with an integrated roof. And we're seeing a short payback time for this company, and it's helping them get their bills down. So it really makes sense not to tax the sunshine. You know, let's not tax the solar devices. Let's not punish businesses for the increased value that they're going to gain by putting solar panels on there and gaining that as an asset. Let's instead really use this as an incentive to help businesses do the right thing and save money. And in the long run, I think it's great for the aggregate of what we're doing citywide. As a city, we've been, over the last few years, have been doing a lot to look at our own operations. A lot of people don't know that of the 67 buildings that we own, almost 2/3 of them have some type of solar panel on the roof. But what the next step that we want to do, that's frankly a little more difficult, is looking at per capita carbon emission reduction. Now, per capita, what does that mean? It means to a person. It means community-wide reductions. Frankly, that's a little bit more difficult if we don't have utilities that are working with us as partners. But tools that we can use and options and incentives that we can use that Amendment 4 will allow is one more tool in the toolbox to help businesses go solar. And we're looking at ways to help residents and citizens go solar as well, both with the co-op, the solar co-op that's led by the League of Women Voters and Florida Sun. And the city is working on a really exciting campaign with Sierra Club and local partners called Ready for 100. And it's a big, bold goal to look at what we can do to go to 100% renewable energy by 2050. And we have some representatives at the table who can speak more to the details of that. But really, for all of this to work, is we need to see clean energy and solar leadership. And luckily, there's a lot of that here at the table. And I feel without that piece, or with that piece, that's how we win this important victory and let the citizens' voice be heard on Tuesday.
Very good. So Wayne?
Thank you, Susan. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for all of you coming and supporting this fine cause. I've been doing solar energy since 1984. My name is Wayne Wallace, president of Solar Source. We're in Largo, Florida. We're solar contractors, so we have about 30,000+ solar systems here in the Tampa Bay area. And ever since I got into this business, I got in for one reason, and that is to save people money. Every home I've ever had, I've had solar water heating, I have a solar electric system, I have solar powered attic ventilation, and why do I do it? To lower my bill, to save money. It's all about saving money from my perspective. So, and I tell all of our clients, homeowners, business owners, you don't spend money with our company because we can only spend it or invest it. And you invest money, with any solar company when you put in a solar system. So, homegrown local jobs is what we create too. The solar industry is employing jobs faster than any other sector in the economy. And we ourselves are hiring people. Our business is growing. I'm grateful to say that. Great Bay Distributors, we just put a large system over at the airport. We're doing a large system at Legoland. And we continue to put in, 30 to 40 kilowatt residential systems per week. So right now, people ask us every day, how much does solar cost? Well, basically, with the creative financing, basically it doesn't cost, it pays. So, today, to put in a solar system for Mr. and Mrs. Want to save money homeowner, their electric bills will go down from day one, and they'll own the system at the end of 12 years. So what does Amendment 4 do? It reduces one of the multitudes of barriers that we have here in Florida that are cumbersome and inhibit the growth and development of solar energy in Florida. So, if somebody wants to save money on an electric bill, a homeowner or a business owner, specifically a business owner, hey, we're in business, so what's the number one thing for a business owner to do? Show a profit, make money. So that's our bottom line. We have to make money to afford jobs for our employees and to hire more people and to service our customers and expand and grow. So if Mr. Joe homeowner or even Mr. Joe business owner, specifically Mr. Joe business owner, he wants to lower his costs, save money, help homegrown local jobs with the economy, and invest in a solar system in his business, he shouldn't have to pay taxes for it. So that's what this amendment does. So we're grateful for that. This amendment also supports and helps homeowners so they don't have to be subject to the possibility of tangible taxes. So again, it's we got to get the word out. Florida could be a leader in solar energy. When I say could, I think it will be. I've been on this battle for 30 years, and I'll continue with it. I'm grateful that all of you are here to help us, remove one of these major barriers. So together we can do it, and I know we have an uphill battle because we're up against a lot of big money that really doesn't like to see homeowners and businesses use less electricity. Certain entities, they monopoly electric utilities. We got to have them. We use their infrastructure. But by golly, what's the true value of solar? That's a whole other subject. We'll be later and get into that. We know the value of solar helps all Floridians. And I'm going to share one last thing with you, and then I'll carry on because I don't get a little winded myself. You know, we export north of $60 billion annually. A lot of people don't realize this. And to keep the lights on here in Florida, the bulk of that goes to Texas for natural gas, to the natural gas lines that supply the power generation facilities here, like baseline power plants and peaker power plants. The rest of the money goes to coal states that we buy coal from. So if we could just keep 10-20% of that $60 billion here annually, plug that into local, homegrown jobs, those jobs will never leave here. You know, installing solar systems requires a lot of architecture work, engineering work, technician work, installation work, shipping work, all kinds of levels of economies of jobs to support an industry. We can keep those jobs here. So again, I'm all about growing the local economy, keeping those jobs here in Florida, and not exporting all this money to the city of Florida. So thank you for all that you do, and glad to be a part of this because we're going to win ultimately because we have a better way. It costs less money. So thank you.
I want to pull that out a little bit because I think, you know, you've really said something that's the most significantly important thing is that the money that leaves the state every year for transportation fuels and for, you know, electric generation is extraordinary. And if you think from an economic development point of view, what would that mean to keep those energy dollars here in Florida and keep people working, whether they were putting insulation or new windows or new air conditioners or putting solar up? And what does that mean to our economy to leave? And for the young people who are here at USF schools just getting started, and these kids are worried about getting through school and how are they going to get careers and jobs. So it's really interesting. I think you did a really good job. But what does that mean to the economic development of a city like St. Petersburg?
Well, when we bring companies here to look at Pinellas County, they look at the cost of utilities to factor in the cost of doing business. So this is one way to help show that Pinellas County and St. Pete is more affordable, and that we actually have a plan for the future, that we're looking at clean energy options. We know that energy usage is going to increase through the next decades, so we need something to help mitigate this up and offset that.
Well, and this whole idea of bringing energy in, you know, a lot of people don't understand that what makes people's electric bills goes up is when we build power plants, particularly if we're building power plants that we don't need, that we could meet in some other way through energy efficiency or solar, and then you sort of lock in, you don't have those fuel prices, right? You just don't have fuel costs, and while natural gas may be low now, they're historically volatile, and that'll go up. So when you put up solar and you actually do smart utility planning that leads to looking at the peak, building to peak, as utilities do, then you can avoid building new expensive power plants. And so that helps people bills go down, and then more in a straightforward way, what you said, when you put solar on your roof, you're locking in those fuel costs.
Sure, and you know, you mentioned earlier, Susan, that how much have the costs come down. Well, since I've been involved in this for 30 plus years, I've seen solar electric costs, photovoltaics, power generation, those costs have dropped over 3,000%. And since 2010, they've dropped over 50%. So what's really going on here is we're seeing fossil fuel prices do this. We're seeing solar costs do this. Where those two lines cross is grid parity. So it's happened in a multitude of states. So if we can remove the barriers, we can have everyone in Florida, homeowners, business owners, saving money on their electric bill. So who doesn't want to save money?
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to help generate the local jobs in the local economy? And as a fringe benefit with solar, who doesn't want to help for cleaner air?
Exactly.
That's just a fringe is what that is, the way I look at it. Because really it boils down to the business. We got to save money, and we want to create these jobs. So the fringe is, hey, we get cleaner air.
Well, it's nice to protect your natural environment, not only clean air, but power plants are the biggest users of water. And water is, the crisis of our time. We're dealing with it all over the state. We're dealing, other states are dealing with drought issues, and those issues are going to get more pronounced and more pronounced. I just helped Climate Central release a report called Danger Days, and in Florida we have 25 danger days a year, and by 2050 we can quadruple that up to 104, and it's when the heat and humidity index is 105 degrees or more, and that is a very unappealing dynamic for us. So what happens with Disney World has to start closing early because it's so hot, or you have threats from encephalitis and increased mosquitoes and so forth. I thought maybe James and Emily could speak to, hello, Constance, how are you? I thought maybe James and Emily could speak to a little bit of what they've been doing at USF with the Clean Energy Fund, and I know you've added some solar here, and what the thinking is on a big campus like this.
Absolutely. So I'm Emily Gorman, I'm chair of the Student Clean Energy Fund Committee, and we're a per credit hour fee. We get about $1 per credit hour from all the students on campus. And we have asked that fund to do two things. One, to reduce our energy costs, and two, to install renewable energy on campus. So our interest in Amendment 4 is really practical. As we continue to make these expenditures, we want to make sure that we can get the best possible cost. One of the reasons we're interested in potentially joining the St. Pete Solar Co-op, one of the reasons we're interested in Amendment 4, and one of the reasons we're so excited to hear from all of you guys today. So we've had a lot of different projects going on. We have a major solar array. I think James can speak a little bit more to that process, which was a partnership with Duke. And we're always looking for more opportunities to install more solar, add more energy efficiency projects. You'll see all over campus as you walk through. We can get a minute today. Our logo on different installations. We've got virtual recycling programs, some little side projects, and now we're at a point where we need to start taking our fund and really making some major investments. So we're trying to line up around our climate action plan, which our lovely sustainability planner, Brian Pullen, has led. And so now we're in a moment where we need to kind of take the next step forward, and we hope that after Amendment 4 is part of our legislature, we can hopefully do that in a more cost-effective way. So thank you all for being here today. We appreciate your time and energy.
Thank you for what you're doing.
So, and forgive me for zooming out and maybe shifting the conversation a little bit, so I have a handful of hats, one of which I'm the Student Senate President. I helped create our Student Clean Energy Fund, as well as our University Sustainability Steering Committee, which is called the Clean Energy Resource Conservation Commission, analogous to the Gardens Committee of the city. And when we students started leading on the issue of sustainability and clean energy years ago, we came from a place of climate change. My generation, the students that you see out here, we have a greater sense of urgency than our parents' generation does. And so that's where we started as, in terms of the university's leadership on this issue, was that climate change is real and we have to do something about it. As we evolved and began to build institutional momentum behind sustainability and clean energy, it became apparent that that issue alone was not enough to motivate key decision makers, that the financing and the economics behind clean energy, that's where a lot of folks want to talk. And so we students found that we've engaged in this relationship with the institution where we come from a place of climate change and caring about the future, and the university cares about saving money on energy bills and being more efficient with the resources. So the university has demonstrated leadership. We have a climate action plan that we are just now completing. Again, our university sustainability planner, Brian, is just now wrapping that up. That's a years-long process where we've clearly quantified all the university's emissions, half of which are derived from our energy that we buy from Duke. And we have a roadmap now forward to get to 100% clean energy for the university. We have a goal of about, I believe, 0.5 megawatt by 2020. That's how right, Brian? We have, and it's several megawatts by the 2030s, by the time we're trying to phase out the last of our emissions. So as we have a conversation about emissions and solar and all that, we're also having a conversation about the economics and how much sense that makes. So I would say that in the grand scheme of things, this amendment, from my perspective as a student, is a no-brainer. It's also in many ways it's an easy thing we can agree on, but on the bigger picture, we have real challenges ahead. This is something that we should easily be able to agree on and move forward. We believe that competition in the market and supporting this industry is a good idea, but I believe there's bigger fights to be fought. This is a long-term issue that we're dealing with in energy and climate change, and I think that so as a student, I like to make sure that we don't decouple the fact that we are, as a coastal community, we are going to bear the brunt of climate change, sea level rise, extreme weather events, et cetera. And so, as a university, we have an opportunity to demonstrate leadership and implementing solar projects and piloting technologies and planning for the future in a way that hopefully is going to go mainstream in the near future. And this is one step to help make that happen.
Yeah, Jordan? I think what's really interesting if you hear Emily and James is a sense that there's really not a silver bullet solution. It's like silver buckshot. It's a lot of different approaches. And one of the things that I want to do, and by the way, your work here on the campus is just so inspiring. One of the things that I want to do with the city is to really drive sustainability and clean energy planning into the DNA of the city, so that it doesn't drop, it doesn't fade away with the next administration or the next election, but that we really have a buy-in and commitment to these long-term issues. And there are serious challenges whether it's sea level rise, flooding, the economic forces and changes of the reinsurance agent industry. It's forcing cities to look at planning in a whole different way. So we're looking at climate action plans and resiliency plans. It's forcing us to look at business models in a whole different way. And the thing that is so critical, I mean, you're seeing these climate action plans across the country coming from cities. And by 2050, I think 3/4 of our carbon emissions will come from cities. And no one is swooping in to save us. We are the cavalry. We've got to figure this out, and which to me is the challenge, but also makes this work so exciting and so fulfilling, because we're really setting a template for doing important work. And as James said, Amendment 4 is really a no-brainer, and it's one of the clearest, it's one of the easiest steps forward we can take right now to make it easier for businesses to go solar.
Darn, you made a really good point I want to just build on, and then Phil, comment on. I'd love to have you say something. But, when you look at what's facing people's lives every day, so we have these, incredibly, warm temperatures, they call the misery index. We have a year-round mosquito season. And the governor right now is in Pasco County talking about Zika. And I have yet to hear politicians making the connection between the warmer temperatures and having more mosquitoes, and that is the ultimate no-brainer. So whether it's encephalitis or dengue fever or Zika, that's a problem. So when you take, and those are just a couple things, the water, and we can go on and on with sea level rise issues. It's sort of astounding when we make these big decisions. Victor Christ on the county commission in Hillsborough County said to me one day, if we knew what we knew now, if we knew then what we know now, we wouldn't have put Tampa General Hospital on Davis Island. I was born in Tampa General Hospital. So it just gives you an example of the kind of thinking that we need to integrate, as we move forward, and whatever public health, safety, it's just going to be part of our lives, and this is all important. And there isn't one silver bullet answer. There's a lot of answers. So,
well, I did want to make sure I mentioned. So I think it's interesting because you go around the room and the different sides that are coming from this, because you do have mentions of climate change, you have mentions of other things. I think one of the things that we 2 years ago did was try to come at some of these issues, as you say, silver buckshot, without having to force different groups, different ideologies, different organizations, different people, different political parties from having to necessarily drop their own personal beliefs and their own ideologies. And Amendment 4, along with, and before that, FSC's coalition, I think are taken together the largest ever of its kind in the state of Florida, that brought together so many different groups and so many different opinions and so many different ideologies and so many different structures and organizational techniques that have fought for a campaign. And I can tell you on the other side of it, and maybe more on the business side of it, it becomes a free market issue, right? And so it is a very unique understanding on how some people are coming to Amendment 4 from a one more shot at helping for climate change, and then you have other people who, on my side, that will make sure, and myself included, that look at climate change data more skeptically. And I think the overriding part of this, though, is that an open energy policy can lead to benefits for each and individual group in a state as large and as diverse as ours, And I do think it's important to include that there are so many different voices that want to participate, and not every voice is going to share the same background, the same experience that everybody has. And I think if we don't adhere to that, and I really believe this, coming from a time period, like I said, a little over 2 years ago, where you were persona non grata in any legislative body on the right for mentioning solar. Not climate change, not anything like that, but solar, right? Through the free market, without mandates, without subsidies, I think it's important that Florida continue to try to lead on these issues as a cooperative. And I think that energy policy is one of those policies where, yes, it impacts social structure, yes, it impacts communities, yes, it impacts housing, yes, that impacts your finances, which impacts social society at large. It isn't a social issue as what is considered traditional within the battle of politics. It's not marriage, it's not religion, it's not, ethnicity, race, culture, immigration. It doesn't fit into those issues. And I think if we keep it more within the realm of energy policy, I think we're going to have a better shot at trying to fulfill some type of a cooperation that continues to produce amendments like Amendment 4, where it's not controversial, where there isn't opposition, and where people are able to get in the same room and hash out discussions on this.
Well, whether you come in the free market competition door, or the money savings door, the consumer savings door, or the climate change door, or you want to protect air and water, Amendment 4 is going to help do that by reducing taxes on solar and lowering the cost of energy. So it's something that we can all agree to. Well, quick, James, and then I wanted to give Philip a chance to say something.
I just think that's a Someone Employment Master's Program, Florida Studies. And Florida is a very politically divided state, and there's something very unique to be noted here, the fact that this coalition of strange bedfellows, as you might say, in terms of politics, it's a really special thing about this issue when it comes to the politics and the policy behind clean power, is that there's a real united thinking behind this amongst the people of Florida. And so this is an issue where I think that we can actually build, we can do a better job of working together as a people of the state. And this issue, I think, opens a door for a lot of opportunity for coalition building and cooperation that really hasn't been there. So I see that this issue as a major opportunity.
Yeah, and people want solutions. People are tired of rhetoric and gridlock and excuses. They want actual action. I mean, the city of St. Petersburg has been in negotiations for the last 4 years with Duke Energy over allowing LED lights to be replaced in the street lighting. And the initial figures I heard was they could have saved $1 million a year. I don't know if the estimates have changed there, but we're talking about considerable money. And that's the kind of gridlock that really makes people so dissatisfied with our political system, because it just doesn't make any sense. Phil, talk a little bit about what you're doing on the transportation side. Sierra Club's been a supporter of all this.
Sure. Speaking of transportation, sorry I was a little late because I was looking for a parking place right across the street, and I did get the very last space on the roof next to the solar array, and I want to congratulate USF St. Pete for its work with Duke Energy and the sustainability office here in putting up that solar array a couple of years ago. That provides not only power for the building next to it, but also for anyone who wants to charge their electric vehicle. And I want to congratulate Darden Rice and PSDA for their leadership in moving to provide Pinellas County's first electric buses, which will serve USF St. Pete and downtown St. Pete about a year from now. And that's a very exciting thing, because at Sierra Club, most of our work is about moving beyond our current dependence on fossil fuels. And this is really, to my way of thinking, a matter of time when we are moving from